From the first click to final close, let's talk about how to start selling the way buyers want to buy, not how you want to sell. Joining me on stage are Jade Terraberry of AutoTrader and Noah Lee of Dealer.com, plus Jeremy Nolling and Ryan Rohrman from the Rohrman Automotive Group.
The most amazing thing about today is that I still have my voice. So that's good. Yeah, amen. Come on. Hey, I've got an amazing panel and group of contributors here. So give them your attention. We are going to get a bit nerdy this afternoon, so this is like my time to get nerdy, so deal with it, all right? And if you're not into nerds and stats and data points and getting your mind blown, then you can see yourself out. But otherwise, lean in. There is something that one of these panelists is going to drop as a stat at the end of this that might have you throwing stones saying, no, I don't believe it, but it is true. So, without further ado, give me just a quick second as let's just introduce ourselves. I know it said it just a second ago, but tell us who you're with, your name, and what you do, just a little bit, 30 seconds, and then we'll get after it.
Sure. I'm Noah Lee, Director of Product Consulting for Multi-Solutions at Cox Automotive. Been in the industry for 14 years.
Jade Terraberry, 10 years with Cox. I know many of the faces out there, 45 years automotive. That tells you how old I am, but glad to be here.
Jeremy Nolling, Sales, Digital Retailing, and Implementation Director for the Rohrman Automotive Group. 26 years with the Rohrman Automotive Group, and anything that's tech, process, sales, accountability related, that's where you'll find me.
Ryan Rohrman. I'm the dealer principal CEO of the Rohrman Automotive Group. We have 22 stores, really through Chicagoland, in Indiana, and a little bit in the Wisconsin.
That's awesome. And I think so the combined number of years in the industry is enough. We'll call it like that, all right? Cool. Jade, I want to start with you. You all brought this conversation to our doorstep and said, hey, we want to talk about the journey, both from the customer but also from the dealer side, from someone first engaging with us all the way to buying a car from us and how we think about that path, and we've really laid it out. But can you start with what's the layout? What's the lay of the land? What are those elements that we're going to talk through today?
Yeah, so we're in a whole new world today than where we have ever been before. In fact, Ryan and I were just standing on the side saying, and I'm sure you see it too, there are big winners and there are big losers in the market right now. And it's really based on who's using data and who is starting to understand not just how non-linear the consumer journey is. We know that. We've talked about that for a long time. But who is really using data to connect with the consumer. You know, we talk a lot about click to close, but getting that first click is one piece of it. It's everything that you do to drive all the way to the sale and the outcomes that actually drive profits that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so we've kind of got a little bit of a journey map that we're going to show up here. We're going to go through click, and then finding out who the customer is, following that customer, and then getting them to the drive and the close. So we'll talk through how each of those different points. To go to the click, and obviously Dealer.com, and not just that, but also all of the ad and the ad networks and the driving someone to get there. You know, this is the first step in the interaction. I think that, you know, we've had a lot of marketing conversations out here and this morning and today, but where are we finding the most effective places right now, and where are you finding the most effective places to get people initially engaged with the store so that we can start this whole journey? Like, let's get it started. Where do we go?
So we actually can see about 7 out of every 10 shoppers nationwide in real time. So we have a really good understanding of who those shoppers are, where they are in the buying cycle, what they're interested in, what their previous vehicle was, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what that means is it's really getting a good understanding of your audience and then activating those audiences. So honestly, paid search still works really, really well, but those are your lower funnel shoppers. They're actively searching for what you have to sell. But, you know, we're talking about display, social, even Pinterest. We're starting to see some really good success there, but it's really having a good understanding of your audiences and then activating that audience where it makes sense. Now, where we're going now, too, is going beyond just understanding what that shopper is interested in buying. So, yeah, okay, we can show an Explorer ad to somebody who's interested in an Explorer. That's not like new technology. It's been around for 20 years. What we're doing now is saying, okay, where in the buying cycle is that shopper? What kind of ad should we show them? So if they're just researching vehicles or Fords in your area, we'll show them an ad for the Ford dealership. If they've landed on a vehicle, show them that vehicle. If they've explored financing, show them financing offers for that vehicle. And following them where it makes sense, across those different channels.
Yeah, Jeremy, obviously being a lot about process, right? Like so much of what you do is implementing tech into process and process into tech. When you think about the kind of next two steps of the journey, the find and follow, they map to each other, and it takes not just our team, but the tech doing that. Where are you finding success integrating the process that your team is built around and the tech continuing to follow those people and marrying those two things?
I think process comes down to knowing your customer base and what they're out shopping for. If you relate it to what the Cox Suite offers, think about their newest product, predictive analytics. And so what that does is every day, every salesperson that's assigned to a customer gets a notification or alert if the customer that bought from you before is shopping on any DDC website or anything on AutoTrader or even on KBB, that they're out shopping what their current trade is worth. Without that customer ever submitting a lead to your dealership, you now know that you can reach out to this customer and get in front of them, because you know every vehicle that they're looking at that you might have a like or similar vehicle for to help present to them.
Yeah, Ryan, obviously, if anybody follows you on LinkedIn, you've been talking about this broad tech stack and how to bring it together, a tech stack that can really follow a customer around and drive that engagement, specifically in the world of CDP. When you think about, like, once you've moved into this, okay, now I'm engaged with this customer, how do I create the relationship across multiple ecosystems? How are you leveraging the CDP today to create those touch points as the analytics come in?
I think that I've heard the people say this, but it's meeting the customer where they are when they want to get it. And it's extremely specific. So it's down to, talking about like GA4. What are we trying to drive? Are we trying to drive leads, or are we trying to drive sessions, right? So we try to drive sessions into engage sessions into key events. And when we do that, we know where we can meet the customer. So like even on shopping cart abandonment, right? How many times is a customer starting to fill out a form on our website, but then stops? And we don't know why, and I don't think that matters. But how can we help them continue?
Yeah.
And that's the tech stack question, right? When you get your tech stack right, we now know. And the cool thing is, today, we're not talking in theory anymore. We're actively doing this right now.
Can you talk about like a decision that you've made because of the data or the drop off or the change in user behavior that has resulted in positive impact? Like, has there been a decision that you've gone, oh, I see that, we're not following that customer well, or that customer's, or there's a lot of drop off in our like in this journey, and then you've made a pivot or made a change in the engagement? Is there something that you could specifically talk to there?
That's a loaded question. So, yes. I think like 5 years ago, when we were looking at our website, we wanted to see how easy can we make it for a consumer to start on our landing page and get all the answers that they want to get to. And today, I don't know if that's not what we're trying to do now. Now it's like all around this PII concept. And how can we get more of it? And so, whether you want to refer to it as like a lead gate or whatever, right? It's where do you intro that in? Because at the end of the day, this is a bold statement potentially, but it's all about consumer experience. And we have to you can't just say that, you actually have to believe it too. And so when we can control the consumer experience, it's better, period. And that's what we're trying to do this whole thing. So to answer your question, one of them was, and here's a stat from Lexus. So I just met with Lexus a couple months ago. In the Chicago region, the form fulfillment rate on a service appointment is 15%.
Wow.
So just think about that for a little bit. That's
from start to finish.
Just people who start and hit submit. It's 15%. So if you are into GA4 and you're into your websites, which I hope you are, that's terrible. Like, that's really bad, and that's average. And I'm not here to say that mine's any better, but can you activate the other 85% that aren't doing it? What are they doing? I doubt they wanted to stop because they just were like, you know what, it's a bad idea. I don't want to do, I really don't want to service my car.
Joking.
Yeah, whoops.
Didn't really come here for this, yeah.
So, again, perfecting the tech stack, it needs to be easy. So in that one example, like, I think a lot of times what I've learned over the last like 8 to 10 months is sometimes we get automotive trapped in some of our tech. So sometimes we need to go outside. So like, think of like a really good PII engagement that we use. And so for me, it's OpenTable. Like when I reserve a restaurant on OpenTable, think how easy it is. It's 2 clicks, maybe 3.
Yep.
Why can't everything be that simple? Well, it can, and you have to work towards that. But then you also have to make sure that you have the right partner that, hey, I got 2, but I didn't get that 3rd. Can I still invite them back to finish? Or can I have a phone call that goes out and say, hey, Kyle, I saw that you were almost ready to do this. Can I help you? I know life gets in the way sometimes, it's busy. Can I help you finish this, right?
Yeah.
And so just in the last 60 days, the amount of revenue that we've captured from shopping cart abandonment on Service Scheduler, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Game changer.
You were about to say something a second ago. You kind of looked at me like, please call on me.
I have so much to say.
Jump into that because obviously the amount of data that you're tracking and able to see the shopping behavior and getting people into that final phase,
Well, you said CDP. Obviously, that's been buzzword for a while now in automotive, but we have built Cox Automotive over decades now as this multi-billion-dollar CDP, and one of the reasons that we asked Ryan and Jeremy to be with us today is we're trying to figure out how to connect the dots, not just within our ecosystems, but within other ecosystems for clients and dealers that want to make that investment into CDPs. But I tell you, the first question you ask about Click, the most recent data that we see says that the vast majority, 70-ish% of consumers, are starting and or finishing or both, so their first click and the last click before they actually transact on a third-party marketplace, which means your listings have to be there. But it's really those listing activities, as Ryan mentioned, that give you the opportunity to activate with a message and a CTA that lands the consumer back where they want to be. For so many years we said, like, our job was to get the consumer to the right car at the right time. Right. And then it's up to the dealer to do all of the things that they need to do operationally to close that sale. And the days of cost per lead, cost per this, cost per that, they're absolutely over because you can't pay your bills at the end of the month with a stack of leads or a stack of VDPs. You have to have profit, which means ROI is that metric that matters. But the way you start capturing all of that extra revenue is by knowing every step that the consumer is taking. And so, when you think about what we've done across Cox, it's not just AutoTrader and KBB. It's not just Dealer.com, nearly 10,000 Dealer.com websites out there. It's now all of the OEM websites that we power, that our Pixel tagging mechanisms are on, all of the places that we're syndicating My Wallet tools, which are, and it's like your wallet. You carry it in your back pocket, and you're going to start to see that embedded in more places behind lender authenticated login experiences. And those are the things that allow the consumer to have that omni-channel experience, which is where the profit is coming from. It's the ability for them to start or stop, pick back up anytime, anywhere, regardless of where they left off, but pick up at the same place and not have to re-enter any information. And as I said in the beginning, all those steps between click and close, at the start they're finding a car, those other 200 clicks in between, they're weeding out dealerships, or they are connecting with people that are using data to give those quality and relevant responses and to move them one step further in the process at their pace.
Yeah, Noah, when you get down this funnel, right, and you've done everything at the top, what are you seeing when it comes to like the change in the engagement behavior between a consumer and the dealership when PII is met? Like when we actually get someone to follow through and all of a sudden we're in one-to-one communication, you know, is there a change because we've changed the way that we engage the top of the funnel in the bottom of the funnel as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that we're doing is because we're able to collect all that information at the top of the funnel, we're able to share it at each step of that process in a way that makes sense, right? So when somebody's just researching their vehicle, maybe on AutoTrader, we prompt them with that My Wallet information. Hey, plug in your credit score, what your monthly budget is, what your trade-in is, et cetera. And then when you land on a dealer website, we're going to take that information and calculate payments on the inventory that you're looking for based on what you plugged in. Then, when they do take that step, and it's a big step to reach out to the dealership, well, we're informing that salesperson of what that consumer's intent and information is. So, how likely are they to buy a car? What vehicle they're interested in? What their budget is? What vehicles they've looked at? What their trade-in might be? Now, think about how empowered your salesperson is and how much more of a customized experience they can provide for that shopper now that they know so much about them. And the other thing too is it's not just that one-to-one conversational experience that we have. It's also the transactional experience. Because we have that person's finance information, maybe they started a deal online, we can pick it up and say, all right, you've figured out your payment, we've got your trade-in, you've checked some incentives. Really, your next step is to fill out your credit application.
Yeah, next best action type stuff.
And really, the goal here is, hey, let's get that person to complete more of those steps at home. So when they do decide to come into the dealership, we're cutting that transaction time from an average of 2.5 hours per transaction, which is the average right now, down to like 56 minutes. Now, we also know that after 90 minutes in the store, customer satisfaction drops off a cliff. So the more we can shave that time down, the happier your customer is, and the more likely they're going to want to service their vehicle at your store because they had a good experience, and the more likely they're going to want to buy their next car. I forgot who was saying it. It was at one of the sessions earlier. He was saying, hey, it's great to sell this car, but it's really more important to sell the next car. We want to keep that person in our ecosystem. So what I like to say is cradle to cradle retailing. Get them through that first life cycle of buying the car, then get them into the life cycle of owning the car and servicing it with you, and then get them into that next life cycle of trading that vehicle in because you know what they've been doing with it, it's been serviced nicely, and buying that next car from you.
I can't remember, I don't know who it is that wants. I think we have a graphic about how you tie tech stack to the customer life cycle. Can we grab that up here? It's not that guy, right? That this kind of like how we look at like everything flowing together. Who's talking about this? I forget. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to dig into this more tomorrow, but this is our ecosystem, and this is simplified.
Yeah. This is the simple view, guys.
This is a simple view.
This is great. Okay, got it.
I can't tell you how many different versions that we've created of this, and how long it's taken to. The neat thing about looking at this is that it's working right now, and it's not just working, it's killing it. Like this ecosystem, it's hungry. And it's just, we're at the point now where you gotta feed it. And everything that we're talking about here is how you feed it, right? It doesn't really matter where the customer starts their journey inside of this ecosystem because it all works and it's all interconnected to it and it's smart. And so whether you come in from the DMS or a website or KBB, AutoTrader, it doesn't matter. When they enter into the ecosystem, you now have entered our experience funnel. And that's what we want. Because, I remember 10 or 15 years ago, I was running a store in Chicago, and we were trying to get low funnel leads, because we wanted that instant gratification of the quick close. And we're trying to maybe stay away from some of the high funnel. Now we want it all, right? Because we know that
no matter where they come in,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they're 6 months out. It doesn't matter if they're a year out. It's smart enough to know. And it's going to keep them engaged at the level that they're engaging with us, unbeknownst to anyone else. Yeah. And so when they're ready, guess what? The first time that they come in and they meet us, it's not the first time. Yeah. They've been engaging with us for 90 days, 6 months, 12 months. It doesn't matter. They know our ecosystem because we've been keeping them up to date, whether it's service, sales, parts, it doesn't matter, so that the experience at the end, that was awesome, and I want to do it again. And I'm going to tell my friends and family about it. And that is the end goal. How many times can we replicate that over and over again?
I've got my Q&A up. If you guys have questions, in about 5 minutes, I'll be leaning into a couple questions at the end, so feel free. But Jeremy, I want to turn to you because you've got two kind of graphics that prove what this means from a business outcome perspective, both in sales speed and also closing ratio. Can you talk to the real impact of what this has meant to the business at this point?
So I think what it comes down to is we can drive as many leads as we want, but if our internal process or accountability is broken inside of the store, it all just fall apart and it really means nothing. So the two slides that I'll reference now is, number one is the frequency and what your process looks like for whatever lead type it may be, whether it's internet, phone, or walk-in. And through Cox, this VIN Solutions dashboard is available to everybody. And it's just diving in and how quick does it take for you to sell a vehicle once that lead enters your CRM, whether it's an internet, phone, or walk-in. And we can see just by this one store's example, this is one of our largest stores in the group, year to date, you can see from the time that a phone up, an internet lead, or a walk-in's entered into the CRM, we sell a majority of them within 24 hours. But for those that take the 3 to 7 to 15 days, what does your follow-up frequency? What do the tasks look like? What are you asking your staff to do? And then is someone being held accountable to measure those individuals? And for the slide...
Real quick, I want to segue to this because the question that most people would ask next is you're missing a lot of deals.
Oh, no. So...
Wait. Because if I saw 75%, I'd be like, all your salespeople are lazy. They just get whatever they get the first day. They 75% and they forget about everything. It doesn't work. Your numbers got to be jacked. And there's no way after 7 days, basically, it falls off a cliff. No, but what you were saying just now is no. If we've engaged with them that long, then we're starting to see now our people are way more efficient, right? So what happens when you pick up that efficiency as the payoff?
And I was just going to say, and so are your dollars, because what you're not doing is wasting that advertising and targeting and retargeting money in those periods where maybe they went on vacation for a week. And again, that's the value, and it's hard. That diagram you have up there shows how hard it is, how long it's taken us to get to one view of the customer, one view of the household, regardless of the devices that they use. But it's all about that real-time data that updates instantly. And I will ask you in a moment to ask Jeremy the stats around when you first moved your consumer data into a CDP. How messy was it? How dirty was it? What are those stats? But then how dirty was it 6 months later, 3 months later? And I mean, it's that real-time updating that allows you to find the efficiencies both in your people processes and your advertising dollars.
Yeah. So the good news is that they've gone from 8% to 11%, and no, it's not that, it's more, right? Tell us what this has meant from a business outcome, because you're not just scraping the cream off the top.
No, and first off, I'll clear up the bad data part. So I had that challenge a couple weekends ago at an event, and I proved to the room that not only do we hold the stores accountable for clean actual data, we actually pay additional money to make sure every phone up is logged into the CRM if a salesperson doesn't log that phone up as well. And we monitor deleted leads, we monitor bad others, we monitor all of that very closely within a game that we play at the store. So I always love that challenge. The other side of it is to the data side of it, is it's super important. So 48%, Ryan's gonna cover a lot of this tomorrow on the importance of clean, actual data inside of your system.
So what has it meant for closing ratios for the stores?
So Ryan will cover that tomorrow. I don't think that we should take away from today.
We can talk about it now.
But
We can talk about it now. Talk about it now. You got. I can't like leave the people hanging out here.
Yeah. So that those.
Let me tee you up on this. So Jeremy has done a great job inside our auto group of driving KPIs, and we've built a system that we know is factual. Like, I think whenever you build a KPI or a program out, you have to try to break it. And you gotta, and if you don't break your first swing, give it to someone else and try to let them break it. Because I can tell you, I've built so many systems over the years, and it gets, listen, salespeople, they know how to.
They'll get around it.
They know how to take the shortest way to get to where they want to get to and do the least amount of work. And that's okay. We need to build a system, or better mousetrap, you could say, so that when we share numbers, when we report, we know beyond a shadow of a doubt there's no smoke. That's what we call it, is the smoke. We want no smoke in our reporting. And so all to be said is this did not happen. This part did not happen in like 6 months.
Right.
Like, this has been
years.
Since 2018, when we built our system, and we keep making it better and better, because it gets broken. And we ask the guys and gals, push on the walls. Like, we provide you this environment where we want you, don't live in the middle, go press on the wall, have fun with it. And when you break it, we'll make it better. So 2018 to now is the journey of what he's gonna share, with 6 months of a real CDP on top of it at the same time. So that's the magic, is both of those.
It came together.
You can't have one without the other.
But you start with the process, because if you didn't have the process, the CDP would live on top of it and everything would fall apart.
Right. So there you go, Jeremy.
I was just going to say that, to add to Ryan, so it really comes down to, do the managers know how to measure the data? There was a slide in there that had a lot of colors, so from Vin Solutions, they simplified it so managers can see based upon color, are we doing our job right? Are we adding notes into the system? The third to the right is the green, are we following up on very frequently? And then to the far right is, if you have any red over there, that's somebody you can't talk to. Like, your tasks don't fire in the CRM. If you have a CDP, nothing's firing out. If you're partnered with a CEP company, none of that information's firing out to a consumer because your salespeople broke it. So this is our largest store. So if we can fix that store, you can fix your stores, is what I always tell everybody with inside the group. But there's still more. We're still missing out on opportunities. And so that other slide that you had up for me, the bigger slide, was data that's backed up by urban science. So that's leads that come into your system every single month, fresh leads from 1st to the 31st in this far left-hand column. How many did the dealer sell? How many did I lose to the same OEM dealer? That's what I want to target next. I want that number in single digits for the entire store. Then I know we're doing a really good job. Right now, there's still more. But to answer your number, it was anywhere from 12% of total opportunities sold, internet, phone, and walk-in, we climbed all the way up to 30%. So the question would be, going back to your stores, is, do you know of all the opportunities in your system? Are they factual? Is there smoke in there? And then what's your total close rate? Because once you fix that problem, you'll sell more cars regardless.
You totally just really ran past the fact that you went from 12% net delivery ratio to 30% net delivery ratio and up to 37% at one of your stores, right? Is, I think, the data you told me? 37? What was it?
We have 37 at one.
37 at one of your stores. That means a net delivery ratio from lead to close at that, right? So when you start with the click, with the right audience, with the right data structure, with the right messaging at the right time to the right person, and you get your people the most efficient, you can change from getting 2, 3, 5, 8, 7, 12, 20% to making your people efficient enough to close 30 to 37% of the lead opportunities that they have. You don't think your people would be happier if that was the case? They'd be happier employees, you'd have happier customers, you'd have less waste sitting out there. I just ran out of time. There's 3 great questions in there. I'm gonna tell these people to go down there, jump in the app, and answer those questions. Give it up for these folks for giving you their time. Thank you all so much for having that time. I didn't get last moments. Pay attention to the screen, we got some fun videos for you.